to address in revising the county comprehensive plan. And we're gonna start off with Michael on that.
Well, in revising the comp plan, we'd have to go through it to make sure it treats all the citizens fairly. Simplify it, I've heard that word before here, but we have to go through and get rid of all the, the duplicate, maybe the confusing issues, and try and make it all work together, mesh together, so that we all have a good idea of how to proceed with our planning and with our lives. Not make it so confusing, try and simplify it, but actually go through and do the work.
Bill?
So the comprehensive plan is really the equivalent of our vision document for the community. So what do we want our community to look like? What are the attributes we want it to have? Right now, the comp plan is by regulation, a 20-year vision. We update it based on the state's population forecasts. So much of it is about turning the crank and doing the next increment of the status quo. I'm curious as to what the county's objective is with updating the comprehensive plan this time, other than getting it done in time. Which is a good one, don't get me wrong, that's a good one this time. But are we trying to accomplish something? Are we trying to direct the community in a certain direction or not? And the planning department has a work plan. They have very detailed items that they're going to work on. I'm still a little confused over the overall objectives that we're trying to accomplish from a vision perspective of where we're trying to take the county.
Okay. Good.
So to answer your question, it's land use designation. That's the most important thing we need to figure out, because that's really the pieces to the pie that put it all together. We have set standards that the state gives us on things that we need to look at and update. There's a checklist. We've already filled it out and filed it with the Department of Commerce. Now we'll begin on our work plan, our public outreach. There's so many, there's going to be 30 different things we're going to look at. It's hard to pick just one. Waldron's got a sub-area plan. Shaw's got a sub-area plan. Deer Harbor, we have hamlet plans for Olga and Dove. We have an opportunity to look at each one of these communities to find out what we want. Do we want more development? Do we want less development? So it's not a real simple answer on that. Part of our comprehensive plan is, if we max out our ferries, how are we going to get people here, or how are we going to get off the island, or do we not want to have people? It's a visioning statement. We're really fortunate here in Easttown that a group of folks working with DPRC put together a huge document, and there's a meeting on the 13th to go over that. It's the vision plan for Easttown. That's the kind of stuff we're going to do. This is a chance for the community to work with our planning department and the council to decide what we want this community to be for the next 20 years. There's a lot of opportunities. Where do we want our growth to be? What do we want our transportation options to be? What do we want our schools to look like? What do we want our communities to look like? Do we want curb, gutter, and sidewalk? Do we not? Do we want to build pathways? Do we want to have less road improvements? This is the opportunity for us to set everything and plan for the next 20 years. So it's not really, land use designation is the one thing that I want to deal with, because that encompasses a lot of things, but there's so many different layers, like an onion, you feel that.
Okay. Bob?
The original comp plan, we looked at that 20 years vision in there. A lot of that stuff in our vision, we've reached it, we've exceeded it, but times have changed since then. We've had the introduction of the internet, we've had the introduction of fiber, we've had a lot of things that have changed what we got out there. And for the utility companies to be able to provide this service, they need land that they can do it on. Where are they going to put the next substations? Where are they going to do? But I think that the biggest issues that we got facing us is we got to identify how we're using the land now to make sure we preserve it. Where we have essential public services, and to even go to the point is to have ferry landings. Right now in the comp plan, we have no property that allows a ferry landing, but yet we have them. So there's things like that we got to go back and clean up and look at. And then the vision for the future. We've got to try to look out there to see how we want our community to look, how we want to see it, how we want to preserve it, and move forward.
Okay. Anybody have a follow-up? No?
So I might have misspoke a little bit. It is a visioning, but also many of the elements have specific actions that we need to be taking. Look at the existing housing element, lays out all kinds of activities, actions that we should have taken to solve the affordable housing problem. Look at the economic development element. It lays out all kinds of actions to try to broaden and augment our economy, recognizing that we're so centric on tourism. So these are vision documents, but they also have actionable items to them that we need to be doing. So let's hope this time around, when we update this and we identify new sets of actions, that we then actually follow through and do those so that we avoid a 16-year-old problem that we're now facing today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Bill, I appreciate you bringing up those elements, because this council has passed every element that's been kicked down the road for 20 years. We did the economic development element since we've been here, we've done the transportation element. We modified and passed the critical areas ordinance, we passed the shoreline master plan, we passed an East Sound update. We have done almost everything that in the last 4 years that the state's asked us to do that the county hasn't done for 20. So, you know, Bob and I helped write the transportation and the economic development plan. We're going to work on that and execute it. We're getting, part of the plan for the transportation element was to modify the Orcas ferry terminal. Well, gee, we're putting in a park and ride, we're changing out and improving the dock landing. We're looking at other options for that. And you vision, you write the document, and then you implement it. And we've been in office for less than 4 years. We inherited a brand new government. We moved from a 6-person council to a 3-person council. We had staff that we didn't feel was serving our community, and we've transferred a good government. We've passed a lot of different options. We've transferred the solid waste into 3 different options, and we've done a lot of things in a short period of time. And so, you know, I want an opportunity to keep doing it. And so that's why I'm here, is asking for your vote so I can finish the stuff that we've started and move us to the next generation. So thank you.
Anybody else respond? Follow-up question?
Didn't include diversity. In other words, it included all these kind of infrastructure changes and things like that, but, you know, that whole thing about affordable housing and buying into a farm and things like that, that's what keeps the San Juan Islands a diverse community, not just filled, you know, with a bunch of old people out there.
Anybody respond to that?
He's not old.
I'll respond to that. Above my desk, and I think even above Rick's and Jamie's desk, I printed out the vision statement for the comp plan and for the county. It's above all of our desks. Every time I do something or think about something, I go back and I look at the vision and say, how does that fit in? And you're right, Earl, we do need to make it inviting. We want young people to come here. We want them to have the same opportunity that we had when we came here, when we were, say, 40 years younger. And, but that's the truth. But we want to have those people to have that same opportunity. I want my children to be able to come here, and my grandchildren to be able to come here and have those same opportunities as well, too. But I look at the vision statement, I look at how many years that I've been here, preserving basically the way of life that I want to see move forward. And basically, when you look at our original vision statement, it's there. We just need to tweak a couple things on it. And I guess we never really did have a definition for rural character.
And by the way, my wife said she's not old.
I didn't say that, I do.
I definitely know you're not old, that's for sure. I was just talking.
I just put that 40 year in there.
Anybody else have anything?
Carol, you bring a really good point, and I think I said this 4 years ago. What I've always loved about Orcas is the social economic equality here, and I feel like we've been straining that. You know, there's new people who have been coming here, but it used to be you could sit at the A1 with, you know, a millionaire, maybe now they're billionaires, and a farmer and a shopkeeper and a mechanic, and everyone's equal. And you know, the best thing about Orcas has always been no one really knows what you did before you came here. It's all your contributions moving forward. And that's a hard thing to figure out at our level, or anyone level, like how do we preserve that? You know, 2008 was really hard. There's a lot of businesses that left. When Rosario shut down, 300 families left the community. I know our business had a hard time, and so then you're like, okay, well, gee, now we need to build things so we can not have that problem. And then you build it and they come and you're like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't do that. And the lodging tax, and this is just a small part of it, but the lodging tax committee last week, we just finally said, you know what, we don't need to add more money in promotion. We need to add more money in facilities. we sell this vision of how amazing this is, and it is an amazing place to live, but there's one bathroom in town. You know, there's not things for people to do, and then it stresses us all out, you can't find parking. So at least from the lodging tax level, and I chair that, I hear what you're saying, and we need to step it up. I mean, I've always been pro visitors, but at some point we also have to diversify our economy so we can have alternative things. And I think that Rock Island, I'm 100% behind Rock Island or whoever's doing internet out there, because I think it will allow a new kind of business to come here that won't tax. They'll be here a little bit longer, I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers, and allows a different community to come here who will, one job, it's like the Boeing effect, one new job will create 4 other ones that, you know, someone needs to do shipping or bookkeeping or whatever, and it brings an alternative economy to tourism, because it's a fickle thing. It's great when the economy's doing well, but as soon as it falls apart, we find ourselves, you know, in the same situation we had, where our restaurants aren't open and our shops aren't open, and we can't. There's another reason why we can't find employees, because we can't pay them, you know. And so, as a business owner, when you can't pay your employee, it's a scary time. And so, you know, I agree with you. How do we get back there? Is we have to maintain the culture of this community while allowing diversity and abilities for folks to make a family wage job. So it's a really hard question, so thank you for bringing it up.